Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker for My Favorite Things. Today I'm going to be making a card using the We Make a Great Combo stamp set, and I decided to turn this into a birthday card for my husband because he just had his birthday. When I saw this new stamp set, I was so happy. I think that the little characters are so cute. They're all food related. I decided to use the little French fry, the cheeseburger, and the soda. I stamped those using a Copic-friendly black ink onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, and I'm going to be coloring them in with my Copic markers. As always, while I was coloring, I did keep the marker caps off to the side so that you could see all of the different colors that I used. Now, I wanted to show you something that happened while I was coloring. So I colored in this Fry character that you see me working on right now. And as soon as I finished coloring it in, I went to grab a marker for the cheeseburger. And when I opened it, I dropped the marker onto my paper. And of course, it landed with the marker nib onto the paper so that the ink got on the paper. And of course, it also landed on the Fry character that I had just finished coloring in. So you can see here where the marker landed. Now, luckily, I was using a color that was pretty similar to the Fry color, and you couldn't notice it very much. But to clean it up a little bit, I just went back over that Fry with the same light color that I had already used on it, and that just kind of clears it up a little bit. And then later on, when I die cut that image, I will cover up any of the marker that's showing on the white border with a white gel pen. Pretty easy fix for that. Luckily, I wasn't using a darker color because that might have been a little bit more difficult to clean up. It's definitely never fun to drop a marker on something that you've just completed coloring, and I was so worried that when I dropped that marker that I ruined it and I would have to redo the whole thing. I was a little upset, but then after a second I realized it wasn't that big of a deal and I could fix it pretty easily. Now, after I finished coloring in the cheeseburger, I moved on to coloring in the soda. When I colored the soda the first time, I colored it with blue colors, but then I realized that I wanted my background to be a very similar blue color, and because I wanted the soda to pop on the background, I didn't really want it to be the same exact color because that would kind of blend in. So I ended up re-stamping the soda and coloring it again in purple colors this time. So that's why you see the soda on a completely different piece of paper now. You know, if my mom were here, this wouldn't be a soda, this would be a pop. Did you grow up with pop or did you grow up with soda? I grew up with pop. I don't know why I say soda now. I don't know what happened. It might be because my husband says soda, but I've totally grown out of saying pop and I now just say soda. And pop actually sounds a little strange to me. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I finished all of the coloring and then I grabbed the coordinating dies and I die cut those out, and then I moved on to creating my background. I did decide that I wanted this to be a square card, so for my background I grabbed a square piece of blue cardstock and I'm stamping onto that with a background stamp. This is the Thick and Thin background stamp from MFT, and I'm going to be embossing that with a clear embossing powder. I did prep that cardstock with a powder bag before stamping so that I didn't have any issues with the embossing powder sticking where it shouldn't. I also embossed a sentiment while I had all my stuff out for embossing. I chose a sentiment from the Mini Birthday Messages stamp set, which is a little bit older of a stamp set, but I love all of the birthday sentiments in it. I stamped the sentiment onto some black cardstock with Versamark ink, and then I embossed it with white embossing powder. All right, now it's time to assemble everything. So I grabbed the background that I created and I cut it down to 4 inches by 4 inches, and then I popped it up with foam tape onto a black card base. That card base, by the way, is a 5-inch by 5-inch card base. Next, I popped up all of my little food characters with the foam tape, and I also grabbed my sentiments. So for the sentiment that you saw me emboss, I used some scissors to fussy cut around the edge of that, and then I popped that up with some foam tape. This second sentiment is from the same stamp set as the food characters. I stamped it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink onto some white cardstock, and then I cut it out using a sentiment die. I used a white gel pen to add some highlights to each of the little characters. Now, for the French fries, I wanted them to kind of look like they were shining because, when you see some hot French fries, they kind of have this shimmer on them from the salt. So I just added little specks of that white gel pen onto the fries. I also used the white gel pen to add some seeds onto the cheeseburger bun. I thought that was a nice little detail. And then after that, I was looking at the card and I thought that it would look really good with a white dashed line border around the edge of the blue background. And I do think that came out really well. Next, I wanted to fill up the space a little bit around that sentiment on the top, so I grabbed some enamel stickers and I added those. I kind of went with colors that I pulled from the characters for those. And then to finish the card, I used a Wink of Stella glitter brush and I went over that happy birthday sentiment. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's card design and that it gave you some inspiration for your own cards. I hope you have a fantastic day today, and I'll see you next time.